Welcome back to our Money Wisdom Question Series powered by Johnson Brunetti. My name is Jake Dozer. I'm a certified financial planner and a certified private wealth advisor. In the Money Wisdom Question Series, we're going through questions that come from viewers and listeners like you who have written in or called in and asked us questions. And today's question that we have is, what is inflation and why is it important for me to account for it in my retirement plan? Inflation is the rising cost of goods over time. So the cost when you go to the grocery store, buy a vehicle, well, the fact that over time the costs go up and it costs you more money next year to buy a car or a dozen eggs, if you will, if you've been watching the news at all lately, than it does this year. And it costs more this year than it did last year. Well, needless to say, in retirement, that's a hugely important thing. Why is that? Well, because the core of income in retirement comes from things like pensions and Social Security. And the rising costs of those income oftentimes don't meet or exceed the rising costs of goods. So for instance, if you buy something today that costs you $1, over the past 100 years or so, inflation averages about 3.5%. What that means is that next year it should cost $1.03 or $1.04. Well, if you look back over time, Social Security, for instance, it does go up each year, but it doesn't nearly keep up with the rising cost of inflation. Similarly, pensions, more often than not nowadays, don't keep up with inflation. They don't have a COLA or a cost of living adjustment. Some do, and if you have that, you're one of the lucky ones, but not all do. And so where else do we get our money? We get our money from our savings. You know, if your income is not at or above your expenses, the deficit or the difference needs to come from the money you've saved. Maybe it's a 401k, IRA, whatever it may be. That money now needs to do two things. A, it needs to meet your monthly expense deficit to supplement Social Security and pension, and B, it needs to keep up with inflation over time. That's why it's so important that you have a portfolio that has some growth orientation in it. Now, does that mean you need to take a high amount of risk? No. Does that mean you need to take no risk? No. Both can result in loss. Too much risk can result in losing too much at a given time and not being able to pay the monthly bills without hurting yourself along the way. Too little risk can mean that you're not keeping up with inflation. So while that might put you in a safer position, it may mean that you're safely losing money. Having a retirement plan will inform you how much of my money needs to be safe, how much of my money needs to be geared towards creating that income supplement, and how much of my money needs to be growth oriented for fighting inflation in the future. I hope today's episode of our Money Wisdom Question Series was helpful to you. Again, my name is Jake Dozer. I'm one of the advisors on the team. If this content has been helpful, make sure to subscribe, like this video so you'll see more of it, and tune in next time on the Money Wisdom Question Series powered by Johnson Brunetti.